Saudi Arabia and Iran have manned diplomatic ties after several years of diplomatic row. Students of Marrakech Secondary School have recently been sensitized on the effects of social media usage. And tensions erupt between Sudan's ruling generals over the country's political transition. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in details. Now, Iran and Saudi Arabia have recently agreed to resume ties after several years of diplomatic row between the two Arab nations. After several attempts, the final round of negotiation that brokered the deal was held in China, which has been warmly welcomed by several Arab countries. Now, the normalization of the relations between Riyadh and Tehran is expected to be a key turning point for the Middle East and the Muslim world. Let's have more details of that in this report.
There was plenty of work behind the scenes before this agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia was signed. Negotiations were initiated by Oman and Iraq in 2021. Iran and Saudi Arabia held 5 rounds of negotiations, the last round of which was held in Baghdad last May. Everything was ready for the 6th round at a ministerial level, but for several reasons it never went ahead. However, last month, Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi paid a state visit to China, where preparations were made for China to host a final round of negotiations. The fallout goes back June 2016 when Saudi Arabia executed the Shia cleric Sheikh Nimr al-Nimr, who was an outspoken critic of the Saudi monarchy. On the same day, a group of angry protesters attacked the Saudi embassy on this street in Tehran, setting some parts of the building on fire. Following the incident, Riyadh cut diplomatic ties with Tehran. China has described the new understanding between Saudi Arabia and Iran as a victory for peace and dialogue. Oman, Iraq, Qatar, Turkey, and several other countries warmly welcomed the agreement, describing it as a new chapter for the region. Some experts say it could prove to be a major turning point.
Iran
and Saudi Arabia are 2 regional powers that can totally change the Middle East in terms of U.S. hegemony if they stand together.
Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian says Iran's neighborhood policy is a key element in President Raisi's foreign policy. According to Iran's top diplomat, normalization of ties between Tehran and Riyadh will provide huge advantages for both, as well as for the Muslim world.
Well, Iran and Saudi Arabia, they are, of course, agreeing to restore diplomatic relations after several years of diplomatic row. Now, moving on, a mentorship organization called Guide High Young on Friday visited Marrakech Methodist and Kabakel primary schools in the West Coast region to sensitize the students on the usage of social media, including the good and bad effects. Among other things, the program aims to mentor and guide especially teenage girls between the age of 13 and to 17 on issues that could affect or help them achieve their dreams. Let's have more details of that in this report by Mariama Char.
The 3rd edition of the Guide High Young Mentorship Program gathered primary school students, especially female students from Kabakel Primary and the Marrakech Methodist Lower Basic School, to talk to them about today's social media usage, both the impact and the damages. Juma Walindong, manager of BPIC and proprietress and designer of Gamplus Clothing, as well as Kemo Conte, president of the University of the Gambia Students' Union, were the speakers on this issue. These young students have been taught or guided on the usage of social media, the aspect of learning by using social media, and the bad effects of social media. Modu Jata, a teacher, said the bad influence and the reckless usage of social media is alarming. He, however, commended that the knowledge gained from the program can help these children to be aware of social media.
I think this mentorship is very, very important because if you can see how this generation is going today, the kids, the way they are using mobile phones or social media is really discouraging. Most of them think that when you have a mobile, is to visit WhatsApp or Facebook or TikTok, when that is, not the purpose. So this mentorship here today will really help and guide the children, especially the girls, because most of them get to social media and see what they should not see, and also it will destroy them and might disturb them in their future. So I think it's very, very important for the purpose of the mentorship, and whatever they've heard here, I think they will take it as something important for their future.
Meanwhile, Mariama Kamara, a student from Marakisa Methodist Primary, has this message for her fellow students.
It is very fine. It teaches me a lot about social media. And social media, sometimes it is not good. You'll be watching at it, and if you are at the class, people will be concentrating. You will be thinking about it. You should always study your books and go to bed early.
Fatou Kamara, founder of the Guide High Young Mentorship Program, highlights some of the importance of the program, which includes supporting young girls into becoming responsible leaders. Ms. Kamara also explains the reason for the school selected for the event.
There are so many reasons, but first and foremost, the reason is to help go out there and guide and mentor young girls, in the areas of their education and how to be responsible individuals in the society. I think it's very crucial. Most of the time we have mentorship sessions, but we do have them in the urban area. So I felt there is a need to look into the rural area, and Marakisa happens to be part of those rural areas that we look into. That is why we're here.
Fatou Kamara explains that mentorship, especially for young people, is crucial, as he benefited from the same initiatives he now began to render to other children.
So mentorship sessions are usually very impactful. I've benefited from a mentorship program, and I know the impact it made in my life and how it benefited me. So I decided I will come out and give back to what is given to me, because I know how crucial and important this is. That is why I came out.
The Guide High Young Foundation came about in 2019 and has been conducting series of mentorship sessions across other regions to help mentor and guide teenage girls between the ages of 13 and 17. The sessions conducted previously are mostly centered on the girl-child education and the moral conduct, as well as related issues such as self-independence and having a purpose in life as girls will be discussed. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
And from the report by Mariam Cham, now to some of the news across the continent. High inflation and spiraling prices of essential items in Egypt have left citizens expressing concern about the situation as preparations have started for the upcoming holy month of Ramadan. Parents in the North African country are struggling to get some of the items, such as lanterns, needed during the Ramadan, despite some of the lanterns being locally made. Now, lanterns are being used as decoration for homes and the streets in the Arab nation, but the prevailing economic hardship has lowered its demand. Let's have more details of that in this report.
A lantern is a main item of decoration in every Muslim house and fills the streets in Egypt during Ramadan, as it symbolizes the celebrations for this holy month. Muhammad Ramadan, a father of two, is shopping for a lantern for the children, but says this year is different.
We will have to buy to make the children happy, but instead of buying 3 like has been the case in the other years, this year we will only afford to get 1.
Egypt used to import most of its lanterns from China, but is currently manufacturing the products locally as it intensifies efforts to curb imports.
Most of our lanterns this year are 100% Egyptian. We've been producing lanterns for a year locally. Some of the raw materials are imported. We make the lanterns to fit all shapes and sizes with music and lights, metal, plastic, and wooden types.
For the 2022 Ramadan season, 5 million lanterns were produced in Egypt. However, for 2023 season, less than half that amount was manufactured. Prices of lanterns have jumped by 60% year on year. Barakat Safa, a lantern producer, says the price hikes and low production volumes are a result of global inflation and the devaluation of the Egyptian pound.
The rise in dollar rate against the pound has increased the cost of importing the raw material, which pushed the price of lanterns up.
Demand had dropped as well. Many Egyptians who are reeling from an acute economic recession prefer to spend their money on basic needs rather than luxury items like lanterns.
Africa Global is the first and biggest private estate developer in the Gambia and present in 7 other African countries. We take pride in leading innovation in all spheres of real estate sector in Gambia and beyond. As such, achieving the development of the first smart and modern office and retail town in Gambia called Taft Twins. The Taft Twins is located in the heart of the Kanifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive away from Banjul. Taft Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 square meters to over 1,000 square meters with 2 elevators, central air conditioning, 24 hours electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant and coffee shop. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333. Thank you.
Welcome back, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And once again, many thanks for joining us. And let's now look at the rest of the stories. Now, Gulf Global on Sunday compensated the people of Tujaran with $1,050,000 for the village development projects. This happened after an agreement was reached between the village elders and Gaj for the latter to give back 5% of the companies to the community of Tujaran from the company's sand mining activities in Tujaran. And here's more details of that in this report by Mariam Cham.
Out of the 5 projects worth over $3 million presented by the Tujaran village, Gach was able to finance 4 of the projects with an amount of $1,050,000 already wired into the village development account. Gach Global mines in the area that the elders describe as beneficial to the community. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, a member of the village elders gave an overview of the agreement between Gach and the people of Tujaran.
We had an agreement with Gach that for every 6 months, any byproduct or any product that is being produced at our site, 5% of their net profit is to be applied back to the village for development purposes. But if the 6 months has not ripe yet, we can also write our proposals in which we can also request pre-financing of our projects. At the end of the day, those amounts will be deducted from the amount of money that is due to the village. That being the case, we presented our proposed projects to them. And out of the 5 projects that we presented to them, they have accepted 4, as they said that the company is not yet liquidable to be able to finance all the projects.
Mining activities have always triggered tensions in some parts of the country, which sometimes result in chaos among villagers and miners. However, Mr. Karamo Bojang, the village leader of Tujarang, said that mining companies like Gach are exceptional for owing responsibilities agreed with community while conducting their mining operation.
I was surprised that in certain communities, this correlation between Alkal Kunda and the VDC is not as good as it should be. I really regret that, because Combo is the is the backbone in terms of financing of projects in Area Council. Area Council's main source of resources should come from Combo South, either fishing or sand or whatever. But how much do they get out of that? Zero. So companies like Gach, we thank you very much, and we can assure you that the projects that you have approved, they are going to be put in good use.
The community of Tujarang through the VDC believe that the money they are given will be put to good use as it is meant for the village development. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
And from the report, now on to our final story, because Sudanese citizens have expressed concern over the reported wrangling between the junta leaders of the North African nation, which according to them could further deteriorate the country's political situation. The commander of the Sudanese paramilitary forces is accusing other military generals of derailing the country's political transition. Now, some of the country's citizens have since called for calm, while urging the generals to put the country's interests first. Here's more of that in this report.
A blame game is underway between Sudan's ruling generals. The commander of Sudan's paramilitary forces, known as the Rapid Support Forces, is accusing other military generals of hampering the democratic transition. The accusation has triggered tensions between the two sides, amid warning of a looming crisis.
This conflict could be over political operations, or it's about some of the terms, like incorporating the Rapid Support Force into the National Army. But it also has other dimensions, linked to where each side stands on local, regional, and international affairs. The country could slide into chaos and further crisis.
The military has accused General Daglo of pursuing his own political ambitions and reiterated its commitment to handing over power by the end of the political agreement. The tensions and war of words have aroused fear and frustration among many Sudanese people.
These disputes between generals will not take the country a step forward. They should prioritize the people's common interests and aspirations to at least stop further economic and political deterioration. It's frustrating.
I think both sides are trying to put their fist down, but nobody will win this battle. We will all lose if we don't put Sudan and the Sudanese people first. It's time to stop any conflicts and to start building this country.
Sudan has been hit hard by a prolonged economic and political crisis. The situation has worsened since the October 2021 military coup that ended a short-lived transition to civilian rule. That had started following the end of Omar al-Bashir's 30-year rule in 2019.
The Western-backed framework agreement should have been signed months ago. Any delay to resolve Sudan's political standoff means the country could be plunged into chaos and uncertainty.
Well, tension seems to be high in Sudan, as of course difference emerged between the ruling generals of the North African country. And with that report from Sudan, we now eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and do have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.